Hey guys, in this video we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting radical expressions. And in order to perform addition and subtraction with radical expressions, we've got to make sure that they have the same radicands. Remember that your radicand is what is underneath that radical symbol. So let's look at a few of these problems. So I've got 2 times the square root of 3 plus 3 times the square root of 3. They both have a radicand of 3, which means they are like radicals. So all I have to do then is combine my coefficients of 2 plus 3. So I'm going to have 2 plus 3 multiplied by that same square root of 3. And I know that 2 plus 3 is 5. So that's going to yield 5 square roots of 3 as our simplified version. Likewise, for number 2, I've got 5 square root of 2 minus square root of 2, which I could rewrite as 1 square root of 2 for our sakes. They both have the same radicand of 2. So therefore, I can combine their coefficients. So I've got 5 minus 1 multiplied by the square root of 2. 5 minus 1 is going to yield us 4 square root of 2. And that would be our simplified version. For number 3, I've got 9 square root of 7 minus 4 square root of 7. These are like radicals because they have the same radicand. So therefore, I can just subtract their coefficients. 9 minus 4 times the square root of 7. 9 minus 4 is 5. So that's going to yield 5 square roots of 7. But then we get to problem 4. And these aren't simplified yet. So if I'm looking at this, I've got the square root of 27 plus the square root of 54. As they are right now, I can't combine them. But let's do some simplifying. The square root of 27 does have a perfect square factor. So let's go ahead and rewrite that as the square root of 9 times 3. I know that the square root of 9 is 3, so I'm going to rewrite that as 3 times the square root of 3. 1 second, guys. My iPad decided to stop working there for a second. All right, we're back. So square root of 9 times 3, and I know that square root of 9 is 3. So this is going to yield 3 square roots of 3. And we also got to simplify the square root of 54. I know that 54 is its largest perfect square factor is 9, and that's going to be 9 times 6. The square root of 9 is 3, and that's going to be multiplied by the square root of 6. So now my goal is to add these, but I got to check my radicands. In this case, my radicands are not the same, so therefore, this is my simplified version. 3 square root of 3 plus 3 square root of 6. All right, we've got 2 more problems, okay? My first problem, number 5, is the square root of 32 minus the square root of 12. So let's see if we can do some simplifying. So looking at the square root of 32, I know the largest perfect square that goes into 32 is 16. And that's going to be 16 times 2, which is going to simplify. I know the square root of 16 is 4. So that's going to be 4 square root of 2. And then I've got that square root of 12. And that simplifies to 4 times 3. So square root of 4 is going to be 2 times the square root of 3. And now I have to subtract these values. You got to look at their radicands. Unfortunately, they do not have the same radicands. That first term has a radicand of 2. The second term has a radicand of 3. So I am simplified at this point. I don't have to go any further. Let's look at that last problem. I got the square root of 20 plus the square root of 45. So looking at the square root of 20, I know that the largest perfect square factor of 20 is 4. And that's multiplied by 5 to yield 20. So that's going to give me 2 multiplied by the square root of 5 when I simplify that square root of 4. But now I've got to look at the square root of 45. And I know that 45 is 9 times the square root of 5. Notice, if I'm looking at their non-perfect square factor, they are the same, which means we will be able to do more simplification to this problem, or to this expression. The square root of 9 is 3, and that's going to yield 3 times the square root of 5. And now they both have the radicand of 5, so I can combine the coefficients of 2 and 3. So 2 plus 3 times the square root of 5, which will simplify to 5 times the square root of 5. All right, guys. Remember, we've got a quiz on Monday, so make sure you're studying. Make sure you're working through the Delta Maths, and ask us if you have any questions. Thanks, and have a great Bulldog weekend.